The night Emily Dawson vanished, the town of Elm Ridge slept under sky that wasn't entirely its own. People would later say they felt something, like the air held its breath for just a second. But when the sun rose, only one man felt the universe shift. And that man was Caleb Hart, the lowly mechanic everyone underestimated. Caleb lived on the edge of town, where the Tulane Road faded into open fields and silence. His shop, Hart & Sons Auto, had no sons left, only memories he never talked about. He worked alone, quietly, humbly, fixing what people broke. Engines, transmissions, and sometimes hearts. On this particular morning, he stepped outside with a coffee cup in hand and froze. Something was lying in the middle of the gravel driveway. Something small. Something shaking. A girl, barefoot, black soot smeared across her skin, wearing a metallic collar with faint alien symbols glowing blue. She looked no older than 13. Caleb rushed forward, kneeling beside her. Hey, you okay? Can you hear me? Her eyes opened, bright, terrified, impossibly aware. Please, she whispered. Don't let them take me again. Caleb didn't understand, but the fear in her voice broke something inside him. Sweetheart, no one's taking you anywhere, he said gently. You're safe. But she flinched at the word. Safe isn't real. Not for me. That was the first moment Elm Ridge stopped feeling like a small corner of Earth and started feeling like something far larger. Inside the shop, Caleb gave her blankets and warm water. The girl watched him with suspicion, as if kindness itself was a foreign language. What's your name? He asked softly. She hesitated. Then, Emily, I think. You think? She touched the collar. It resets my memories. They do it when I disobey. Caleb's jaw tightened. Who's they? Emily trembled. The Okrillians. He had never heard the name before, but the way she said it, like it lived in her bones, made his stomach twist. What do they want with you? She looked up, tears gathering. They said humans are weak. They captured me during a test run, called me evidence. They wanted to punish me for trying to escape. Her voice cracked. So they sent me here, to live with the lowest being they could find. Her eyes softened at him. A human mechanic. Caleb felt a strange mix of anger and heartbreak. Whatever they told you, you don't deserve any of that. She shifted. No one ever said that to me. The words hit him like a quiet tragedy. Before he could reply, the lights flickered. Every metal tool in the shop vibrated. Emily's face went pale. They're close. Caleb, putting himself between her and the door without thinking, said firmly, No one's hurting you. Not while I'm here. She stared at him like she had never seen someone choose her before. Then something enormous passed across the sky, silent, metallic, a shadow that didn't belong to Earth. And Emily whispered, They're coming back. Caleb didn't know then that the universe had just made a very stupid mistake. They had sent the girl to the only human alive who wasn't what he seemed. The only man who owned more than machines and memories. The only man with thousands of galactic moons hidden under an identity he had abandoned years ago. And now, they had threatened someone he chose to protect. Caleb locked the shop doors, though he knew locks meant nothing to whoever was out there. Emily curled into the blanket, her body trembling with every distant hum that wasn't quite thunder. Caleb, she whispered, they'll take me. They always do. He knelt in front of her, voice steady. Not today. Not ever again. Something changed in his eyes then. Something ancient. Something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. This wasn't the calm of a small-town mechanic. This was the stillness of a man who once commanded galaxies. But Emily didn't know that. Not yet. Why do they want you? Caleb asked softly. Emily swallowed hard. I saw something I shouldn't have seen. Something they had deep inside their mothership. A vault full of stars that don't belong to them. She didn't understand what she had witnessed, but Caleb did. Star cores. Stolen celestial seeds. The kind entire civilizations killed to possess. Emily, he said quietly, did you tell them you saw it? They forced me to. And then they said, people like me shouldn't know things like that. That curiosity is a defect. Caleb felt heat rise in his chest. You're not a defect. She blinked at him. Why you keep saying nice things to me? Because they're true. Emily looked down at her hands. No one has ever treated me like I mattered. Caleb leaned closer. You matter. You matter more than they want you to believe. Her breath shuddered, like his words were stitching together pieces she didn't know how to hold. Then, boom, a nearly invisible shockwave crossed the tree line. Emily gasped. They're descending. Caleb stood, and something inside him clicked like a lock opening. The humble mechanic facade fell away. His posture straightened. His voice deepened. His eyes carried a hidden glow, violet and impossible. Emily, he said calmly, stay behind me. She stared at him, confused. You're not scared. No, he said, rolling his shoulders. It's been a long time since anything scared me. The ground trembled. A ship appeared, sleek, predatory, shimmering with blue coils. A Krillian. Caleb exhaled. All right, if it's a fight they want. He stepped outside, eyes narrowing. Emily watched through the window, heart racing. One Krillian soldier descended, towering, metallic bones visible under translucent skin. Its voice vibrated the air. Return the girl, human. She does not belong to you. Caleb crossed his arms. She doesn't belong to you either. She is property. Caleb smirked. See, that's where you and I have a problem. The alien tilted its head. You will be destroyed for this defiance. Unlikely. Caleb's tone sharpened. You're standing on my planet. A pause. A scan. The alien voice shifted. Your energy signature impossible. Caleb stepped forward. Tell your leaders, he said coldly, that the mechanic they punish is the wrong man. The soldier aimed its weapon, and Caleb snapped his fingers. The weapon deactivated instantly, melted from the inside. The alien froze. Caleb's eyes glowed brighter. I haven't used my abilities in decades. Don't make me warm up on you. The soldier backed away, stunned, afraid. No human should have had power like that. Emily stared at Caleb through the window, mouth open. Who was he? But the bigger truth was still hidden. The universe knew his old name. It whispered through galaxies like a warning. The keeper of 1,000 moons. And he had just been provoked. Emily approached Caleb slowly, like she wasn't sure if he was real. Your eyes, she whispered. They weren't human. Caleb softened the glow until only his usual brown remained. I didn't want to scare you. You like them? She asked. No, Caleb said gently. I'm nothing like them. Then what are you? He hesitated. This was a part of his life he had buried under oil stains and quiet nights. The party promised never to touch again. But the universe had brought a child to his doorstep, a child beaten, broken, and terrified. And if she trusted him, she deserved the truth. Emily, he said softly, I was born on Earth, but I wasn't raised here. Her eyes widened. I was taken when I was your age. Same way they took you, but not by the Okrillians. Another empire, older, bigger. His voice lowered. They trained me, used me, turned me into something they could control. Emily's throat tightened. Like they did to me? Caleb nodded. But I escaped, and I hid here. Built a life that made sense. Fixed engines instead of empires. Emily touched his sleeve. You're strong enough to fight them. Why didn't you? Because I was tired, he whispered. I didn't want power anymore. I wanted quiet. Emily swallowed. I'm sorry they found you again. He shook his head. They didn't find me. They found you. And now you're my responsibility. She looked at him like she didn't deserve that word. Responsibility. No one has ever said they'd take care of me. Well, someone should have, he said gently. She wiped her eyes. Why? Because every kid deserves that, Caleb said softly. Even the ones who fall out of the sky. Emily let out a breath that sounded like the first piece of hope. Then, a piercing beep. The collar around her neck flashed red. Emily screamed, collapsing as electricity surged through her nerves. Emily. Caleb caught her as she convulsed. The collar tightened, glowing brighter. A voice projected from it. Run if you wish human. The girl belongs to the Akrillian order. Caleb's hands glowed violet. Energy pulsed from him like heat from a furnace. He grabbed the collar. It burned his skin, but he didn't let go. The metal hiss cracked and shattered. Emily gasped, collapsing into him. Caleb held her until the tremors stopped, brushing hair from her forehead. "It's gone," he whispered. "You're free." Emily burst into tears, silent, shaking tears that soaked into his shirt. "No one ever fought for me," she whispered. "Ever." Caleb squeezed her gently. "You have someone now." She clung to him, small, trembling, rediscovering what safety felt like. Outside, the Acrylian ship retreated. Not in victory, but in confusion. They would return with more. And when they did, they would learn the truth. The mechanic they mocked was a sovereign of celestial power, a keeper, a guardian, a force carved from starfire. And now, he wasn't hiding anymore. The next morning, Elmridge looked painfully normal. Sunlight washed the fields. Birds chirped. A pickup truck rumbled down the road. But inside Hart and Son's auto, everything was cracked open. Emily slept on the office couch, breathing softly, peacefully, for the first time in years. Caleb watched over her like a storm waiting to happen. When she finally blinked awake, she whispered, "It didn't hurt last night. I didn't dream. That's new." Caleb smiled gently. "You're safe here." Emily sat up. "Will the Ocrillians come back?" "Yes." Then, softer, "But I'll be ready this time." She hesitated. "You're not mad that I brought danger to your home?" "Emily," Caleb said, sitting beside her, "you didn't bring danger. They did, and they're going to regret stepping foot on my soil." Emily looked down at her hands. "What, do they hurt you?" Caleb chuckled softly. "I've lived through wars that would turn this planet to dust. I'll be all right." Emily blinked. "You talk like you're older than you look." "I am." "How old?" Caleb exhaled. "I stopped counting." They shared a quiet moment. Simple human grounding. Then the ground quaked. Not like an earthquake. Like something massive had entered the atmosphere. Caleb stood. Emily froze. "Are they back?" she whispered. "No," he said calmly. "This energy is an Acrylian." A strange light emerged outside, golden, soft, familiar. Caleb stepped out, recognizing the signature instantly. A ship landed, smooth, elegant, glowing with ancient sigils. From it stepped a woman made of light and shadow, her presence bending the air. "Caleb Hart," she said. "Or should I say, Keeper?" Emily peeked from behind him. Caleb's jaw tightened. "Arathiel, you shouldn't be here." "I sense your energy flare across 8 star systems," she said. "I came to confirm whether the universe was ending." "Not yet." Her eyes softened at Emily. "This child, what is she to you?" Caleb pulled Emily closer, without thinking. "She's under my protection." Arathiel raised a brow. "Since when do you protect anything?" "Since last night, apparently." Emily whispered. "Who is she?" Caleb sighed. "A headache." Arathiel smirked. "A guardian of the First Order. Child. And the only one stubborn enough to challenge a keeper." She stepped closer. "The Ocrillians are preparing a retrieval battalion. Hundreds. They consider the girl a high-level asset." Emily trembled. Caleb's voice darkened. "She's a child, not an asset." Arathiel studied him, tone softening. "You've changed." "I had help," he said, glancing at Emily. Arathiel considered this. "You cannot fight an army alone, Caleb. I've done it before, and it nearly destroyed you." Caleb didn't answer. Emily tugged his sleeve. "I don't want you to get hurt." He knelt to her level. "I won't." "Promise?" He hesitated, then nodded. "I promise." Arathiel crossed her arms. "So, what is your plan, Keeper? Hide on this tiny world until they scorch the ground?" "No," Caleb said, rising with purpose. "I'm going to take the fight to them." Emily's eyes widened. "You can't leave." Caleb brushed her hair back gently. "I won't be gone long." Tears filled her eyes. "They'll kill you." Caleb smiled softly, the kind that held galaxies of grief and hope. "I own 1,000 moons, Emily. I think I can handle one empire. But deep inside, Emily feared something else entirely. That the universe wasn't trying to take her away from Caleb, but Caleb away from her. And that was a loss she couldn't survive again. Caleb stood beside Arathiel's ship, its hull humming with ancient power. Emily clung to his sleeve with desperate fear. "You can't go," she whispered. "They'll take me again if you're not here." Caleb gently took her hands. "Emily, listen to me. I'm not leaving you unprotected." He touched her collarbones lightly, drawing a symbol in the air, a glowing sigil that settled like warm stardust on her skin. "What's that?" she asked. "A mark," he said softly. "Anyone who tries to touch you will be vaporized before they get close." Emily blinked. "You can do that. I can do much more." She bit her lip. "Will you come back?" "Always." Emily hugged him suddenly, tight, fierce, trembling. Caleb froze for a moment, then hugged back, closing his eyes. Arathiel looked away respectfully. When Emily pulled back, she whispered, "Come home." "I will." And with that, he stepped onto the ship. Emily watched as the golden craft lifted into the sky, leaving a trail of shimmering light. Inside the ship, Arathiel spoke softly. "You care for her." Caleb didn't answer. Arathiel continued, "That girl, she reminds you of someone." Caleb's jaw tightened. "My sister." Arathiel's expression softened. "The one they took." Caleb stared out the window at the shrinking earth. "Yes. And you think saving this child will heal that wound?" "No," he whispered, "but I can keep her safe. And maybe that's enough." Arathiel didn't push further. The ship shot into the void. The Acrylian fleet appeared like a storm, dozens of ships arranged in cold precision. Their flagship hovered like a dark moon, radiating authority. When Caleb stepped onto its command platform, every alien froze. One soldier snarled, "Human, identify yourself." Caleb's eyes glowed. "Mistake number one." He raised his hand. The entire platoon collapsed, not dead, but forced into paralysis by a wave of controlled energy. Arathiel looked impressed. "Subtle. Wasn't trying to be." They walked deeper until they reached the vault chamber, the place Emily had accidentally discovered. Inside were row upon row of star cores, each glowing like captured souls. Arathiel whispered, "Impossible. They've stolen entire celestial seeds." Caleb's voice darkened. "That's why they kept her." She stumbled onto something worth more than all their empires. A metallic echo filled the chamber. "Keep her." The Acrylian High Warden emerged, towering, cruel, skeletal. "You were supposed to be dead." Caleb stepped forward. "You shouldn't have touched that girl. She is human, a lesser species, a tool." Caleb's energy flared, the entire room vibrating. "Children," he said coldly, "aren't tools." The warden hissed, "You dare threaten us on our own station?" Caleb smiled without warmth. "Mistake number two." He snapped his fingers. The star cores ignited, releasing pulses of cosmic truth. The entire ship groaned under force. Alarms wailed. Arathiel yelled, "Caleb, the chain reaction." "I'm aware." The warden charged. Caleb met him with a single blast that shattered the alien's armor and sent him crashing across the chamber. More soldiers flooded in. Arathiel drew her celestial blade. Caleb summoned raw energy from the cores. Together, they carved through the Acrylian ranks, not killing unless forced, but breaking every weapon, every threat, every command structure. Finally, Caleb reached the command node. He placed his hand on it. The entire ship stilled. Caleb spoke softly, but the universe heard him. "You will never touch her again. You will never touch her again. This is your only warning." He sent the message across every Acrylian system. A pulse of violet light rippled outward. When the glow faded, the ships were powerless, disarmed, engines disabled, systems wiped. Arathiel exhaled. "You've just ended an empire." Caleb shook his head. "No, I just reminded them who they're dealing with." But all he cared about, all he thought about, was the girl waiting for him on Earth. The girl who believed in him. The girl he couldn't fail. Emily waited on the front steps of Hart and Son's auto, arms wrapped around her knees, eyes glued to the sky. Hours passed. Then more. Then the sun began to set. Every rustle of wind made her flinch. Every passing truck made her hope. But he didn't come. Her chest tightened, not with fear of aliens, but fear of being alone again. "Please come back," she whispered. "You promise." Then, a spark in the sky. Emily stood. The spark grew into a streak of gold. Faster, brighter, descending with impossible grace. The ship landed softly, kicking up dust. The door opened. Caleb stepped out, tired, scorched, but standing. Emily ran. Caleb knelt just in time for her to crash into him, arms wrapping tightly around his neck. "You came back," she cried. "You really came back." Caleb held her close, his voice thick. "I told you I would." "You're hurt," she said, touching a burn on his arm. "I've had worse," he said with a smile. Arathiel stepped out of the ship, nodding. "You were brave, child." Emily sniffed. "I was scared." "Bravery is doing something even when you're scared," Arathiel said gently. Caleb glanced at Emily. "She waited for me the whole time." Emily nodded, wiping her cheeks. "I didn't sleep. I didn't move. I just waited." Caleb brushed her hair. "And I'm sorry it took so long." She shook her head fiercely. "You saved everyone, didn't you?" "Not everyone," he whispered. "But I saved you." Emily hugged him again, holding on with the trust of someone who finally found home. Arathiel watched them with something like pride. "She anchors you," she said quietly. "She reminds me," Caleb replied, "of who I want to be." Arathiel smiled softly. "Then take care of her, keeper." "I will." She stepped back into her ship. "Call me if the universe collapses again. Preferably not during breakfast." The ship lifted away. Emily looked up at Caleb. "Am I allowed to stay with you?" she asked in the smallest voice. Caleb's heart cracked wide open. "Emily," he said gently, "you don't have to ask. This is your home now." Her eyes filled with quiet relief. "Are you my family now?" Caleb swallowed hard. "If you want me to be." She nodded quickly. "I do." He pulled her into his arms. "Then yes," he whispered. "I'm your family." The stars overhead seemed to shift, like they approved. For the first time in forever, Emily wasn't alone. And neither was he. Weeks passed. Emily learned to sleep without flinching, learned to laugh, learned that breakfast didn't come with pain or commands. Caleb taught her how to fix engines, how to change oil, how to drink cocoa without burning her tongue. She taught him how to smile again. One evening, Emily stood beside him as they closed the shop. The sunset painted the sky orange. "Caleb," she asked softly, "do you miss the moons you owned?" He looked at her and smiled. "No, I only need one world, and one kid who keeps me on my toes." Emily grinned. A small silence hung between them. "Do you think they'll ever come back?" she asked. "Okrillians." Caleb shook his head. "They know better now." "And if someone else comes?" Caleb put a hand on her shoulder. "Then they'll meet us. Together." Emily leaned her head against his arm. "I like together." "Me too." Crickets chirped outside. A warm breeze brushed past. Emily spoke again, quieter. "Thank you for saving me." Caleb turned to her. "You saved me just as much." Emily blinked. "How?" "By giving me a reason to be something better than what I was." She smiled, not the scared, fragile smile she once had, but bright, honest one. "Can I stay forever?" Caleb knelt, so they were eye level. "Emily, forever isn't long enough." Tears welled in her eyes, but not the painful kind, the grateful kind. She wrapped her arms around him. He hugged her back. And in that small-town mechanic shop, under a sky that had once delivered sorrow and now offered healing, two lives repaired each other in ways no one in the universe could have predicted. Not the aliens who sent her, not the empires who feared him, not even the stars he once commanded. The universe tried to punish her. Instead, it gave her a father, and it tried to hide him. But Emily found him, not the keeper of 1,000 moons, not the ancient warrior, just Caleb Hart, the man who chose kindness over power, the man who fought for a child everyone else threw away, the man who taught her what home felt like, The story didn't end with a battle. It ended with a promise. No matter what the universe brought next, they would face it together. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, the cosmic winds whispered a truth. Sometimes the smallest human heart can change the course of galaxies.